What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome to Fresh Comic Stories. This is the channel that we basically sit down and cover different kinds of comic book stories. Now, today we're going to jump back over to Marvel and continue our coverage over the Moon Knight character. Now, the reason why is because you guys out there really do like Moon Knight, apparently. And so I thought it'd be a good idea to go ahead and continue with our coverage over Moon Knight. And so today, we're going to cover Volume 4 of the Moon Knight run from 2006. Now, Volume 4 gives us Moon Knight fighting against the Thunderbolts, a supervillain team that basically works under the American government. And so we're going to see Moon Knight fight against Venom and other characters as well. And so I do hope you enjoyed this video, and if you do, please hit that like button down below and also subscribe for more comic book videos like this in the near future. But let's go ahead and dive into this video right now. I do hope you enjoy. So today's video pick up where our last video left off at. We now see that Moon Knight is now on the run from Iron Man and S.H.I.E.L.D. Remember that in our last video, he basically killed Black Spector, but he killed him right in front of Iron Man and S.H.I.E.L.D. at a parade. And so with that happening, Moon Knight is on the run. But you also have Iron Man interrogating people who are a part of Moon Knight's life. Marlene, John Paul, Crawley, and Rob. The people who have been around are being questioned about where in the world is Moon Knight. Here comes the big thing about this though. Moon Knight did not tell them where he will be going. The whole world is looking for him, and he did not tell a single soul where he has gone to. And so now Moon Knight is the most wanted man on S.H.I.E.L.D.'s list. But we do jump over to one of the prisons in New York, where we pick up with the character the Profiler. Now this is a character who was working for Moon Knight for a hot second in our earlier videos, but he has the ability to figure someone out completely. He would know everything about the person and how to bring them down. But we see him meeting up with a man named Michael O'Brien. Now this is one of the guys that Moon Knight attacked in our last video. But we see that the Profiler is offering him the chance to get out of jail early, as long as Michael O'Brien will actually help out to bring Moon Knight down. But we do see that Marc Spector, aka Moon Knight, is still out there doing his thing, beating up bad people, but he is not wearing his Moon Knight outfit anymore. He's just wearing a all-black getup to go after bad guys at night. Now, the biggest thing about this part is that he blows up a building, which will then catch the eye of S.H.I.E.L.D. and other people who are trying to bring him in. But now to close the first chapter of the story, we do jump over to another building, where we see an assistant bringing somebody a folder with the information of Moon Knight, which this person tells her that his team is going to step in and capture Moon Knight since S.H.I.E.L.D. and Iron Man have been unable to catch him the past couple times, which we come to find out the person saying this is no other than Norman Osborn. Now, the Thunderbolts were a concept made by Marvel in the Civil War era, where S.H.I.E.L.D. and the American government basically formed a team of villains as a way to go after heroes who were not registered, but they kind of not really under S.H.I.E.L.D. supervision, more like the American government, and they are able to make moves anywhere they want as long as them going after superheroes who were against Iron Man and S.H.I.E.L.D. in the Civil War era. But we do jump over to Crawley meeting up with John Paul. Now remember, Crawley was this homeless man Marc Spector would use to get information about people on the streets. John Paul is a character who was always close friend to Marc Spector, but also had secret feelings for him that was revealed to him in this run right here. But we see that Crawley is going to John Paul, basically telling him that Moon Knight needs their help. The last time Crawley saw Moon Knight, he was badly injured thanks to Black Spector. But John Paul tells Crawley that he is not going to help at all, that him and Marc Spector are done. Now, Crawley does not just go over to John Paul. He goes to Marlene hoping that she will be able to help out with the Marc Spector situation. Now, it seems like that Crawley does not have an idea that Moon Knight is out there being a hero again, because he has been out being a hero and stuff. But you have Marlene say the same thing too, that she is not going to help out at all with Marc Spector either. But we pick up with Marc Spector again not wearing his Moon Knight outfit and wearing this all black getup as a way to stay hidden from the world. But of course, while he's out again being a hero and going after bad people, he does get attacked by the Thunderbolts. We know that Green Goblin basically sent the team out to bring in Moon Knight. Now this fight does last a few pages because you have Moon Knight fight different members of the team in each page. But when it comes down to Venom being the last opponent, Venom blows up the building, which helped Moon Knight get away. But this leaves Moon Knight going back to his base badly injured, bleeding out on the floor, including him now knowing that the Thunderbolts are coming after him as well. But we jump forward 2 weeks, where we come to find out that no one still has been able to capture Moon Knight at all. S.H.I.E.L.D., CIA, and the Thunderbolts have all failed to capture him, which then leads to Norman Osborn showing off his new idea to bring in Moon Knight, which is Michael O'Brien, which is the guy that the profiler picked up earlier from jail. But you have the Green Goblin tell his team that Michael has a connection with Moon Knight, which is being branded by him. But you have Norman Osborn say he is going to play a part of a new project that he is working on. But we do jump over to Moon Knight, where we pick up with him in his new base, where he's calling out to Khonshu, which, if you guys remember, this is the guy that basically made Marc Spector Moon Knight. But this is strange because at the end of our last video, he told Khonshu, the god, that he was done being an agent of vengeance. But here we are now seeing Marc Spector calling out to Khonshu, begging him to come back to him. Where then you have Khonshu basically tell Moon Knight that he is not coming back to him at all, because Marc Spector disrespected Khonshu. And so you have Khonshu leave, but before he leaves, he tells Marc Spector that he actually has other people working for him, meaning that Moon Knight is not the only person being an agent of vengeance for the god Khonshu. But we do pick up with Michael O'Brien, where we see that right now he's out with his old gang that he ran with before Moon Knight put him away. But this does lead into Michael and his gang going to a restaurant of John Paul and his boyfriend Rob, where you have Michael and his gang just tear up the place, but they also beat down on Rob, which of course you have John Paul jump in to save his boyfriend, but he is badly injured, which leaves him being taken to a nearby hospital. And so with Rob being put in the hospital, you have John Paul go find Crawley, because remember, Crawley is this homeless man who has been given information to Moon Knight about different criminals who Moon Knight was looking for. And so John Paul is going to Crawley asking if he knows where Michael O'Brien and his gang could be held up at, which of course you have Crawley give John Paul the location of where he can find Michael O'Brien. Which of course this leads to John Paul actually going to the place the gang is being held up at so he can get revenge for Rob being badly hurt by them. And so we see John Paul go in there and he tries his best to beat them, but of course he is getting overrun. That is when at the very last minute you have Moon Knight appear, because Crawley was able to get a hold of him and tell him about John Paul going after Michael O'Brien. And so Moon Knight is there now helping John Paul fight against the gang, which of course Moon Knight sees Michael O'Brien and goes after him because he knows he should be in jail. Now wondering how he got out. So when he goes after him, he comes to find out it was a trap, because right above him there is Venom ready to pounce on him. Which of course this leads to Venom and the rest of the Thunderbolts appearing and trying to capture Moon Knight, which we do get a few pages of Moon Knight fighting against them. Now you had a story show that the Thunderbolts are trying to do this in a way like, we are not trying to kill you, we were told to bring you in. But of course, Moon Knight is not giving them a chance to bring him in, which while they are fighting all over the streets, that is when you have S.H.I.E.L.D. appear. And so now S.H.I.E.L.D. is getting involved in this fight, which leads to S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Thunderbolts started talking to each other or who has the right to take Moon Knight in. Of course, the two of them start to argue and not focusing on the task at hand, which is to bring in Moon Knight. And so Moon Knight sneaks away easily, which now Moon Knight is now back on the run again, and the two teams have failed once again. And so we go over to Moon Knight meeting up with John Paul in the Moon Knight plane, which of course this leads to Moon Knight telling John Paul that the Thunderbolts attacked Rob to get to him. And so with the information being shared, John Paul is angry because S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Thunderbolts are supposed to protect people. Instead, they are using criminals to hurt innocent people who may have ties to a superhero in some kind of way. And so that has John Paul ready to rejoin Moon Knight team to get back at the people who hurt his boyfriend. And so while Moon Knight and John Paul are basically going back to Moon Knight's base to think of a plan, we jump back over to Norman Osborn, the leader of the Thunderbolts, where we see him calling in someone special, someone who can finally handle this Moon Knight problem, which we see that he calls in Bullseye because he never misses, and he'll be able to bring in Moon Knight once and for all. And so the final chapter jumps forward to the battle between Bullseye and Moon Knight, which their fight literally takes place all over the city. Now, these two seem to be evenly matched, which means we don't really see anyone struggle in the fight. But we do see one thing. Moon Knight starts to run away, like he's trying to have Bullseye follow him somewhere else in the city, which we come to find out he leads him to an underwater base that he has. We come to find out that Moon Knight had led Bullseye to this underwater base where he plays hide and seek with the guy. Bullseye is getting angry that Moon Knight just won't come out and fight him fist to fist. But that is when Moon Knight reveals that he has placed bombs all over this underwater base, which they will all have been set to blow any moment now. And so you have Bullseye freak out and he dips out of there, which of course he is able to get out of there right when the base blows up. But that is a way for Moon Knight to make the world believe that he is now dead, that he killed himself while being down there in that underwater base. Matter of fact, both S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Thunderbolts declare that Moon Knight is now dead and he is gone forever, which the city is excited about that because remember, the whole city of New York was getting scared of Moon Knight because he was painted as a hero, but he was doing a lot of bad things. But then we jump back over to Marlene and John Paul talking about the fact that Moon Knight is now dead, where Marlene is asking John Paul why didn't he stop Marc from blowing himself up. But you have John Paul tell Marlene that basically when he circled back it was too late to save Marc. And so Moon Knight is making it seem like to Marlene and John Paul that he is dead as well. But you didn't have the story jump over to Mexico, where we see that Marc Spector is still alive. He is now hiding out in Mexico as a way to start a new private life. And this is where we're going to end today's video. So guys, please leave me a like down below and also subscribe for more comic book stories in the near future. Also, any suggestions on books I should read, well please let me know in the comments below because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But guys, I'm out of here and I will see you on the next comic book video. Later guys, have a good day.